So Minecraft released a much smaller 1.21 preview this week that had just 5 features to its name, and 3 of those are explicitly bug fixes, while 1 is about the Petrified oak slab. This oak slab looking variation of the stone block slab is now flattened into its own new block, the Minecraft Petrified oak slab. Since there's been so much concern around the rest of 1.21, especially with the mace, it does seem weird that they'd use one of the last 1.21 previews to focus on something as esoteric as the Petrified oak slab, but there is a good reason for this, and so I figured today we dive into this newest preview, we dive into what is going on with the mace because it does seem quite clear, and also we talk about the Petrified oak slab because I don't blame you if this is a block you're not familiar with, just like how I don't blame you if you're not familiar with the update process for Bedrock, because Husky1718 says it looks like the update is finished, and I'm guessing next week will be a pre-release from the looks of it. I think this is a logical thing to think if you look at the Bedrock and Java systems and assume that Bedrock is just Java, except instead of calling them snapshots, we call them previews and betas, except there is a huge difference, which is that pre-releases and release candidates happen on the Java edition, but only happen privately on the Bedrock edition. In fact, they are presumed not to happen at all. When the Bedrock version stops having previews, it is likely very close to them sending it off to all of the stores, Android, iOS, Windows, etc., to be certified as the full 1.21, and so by the time we stop seeing Minecraft previews, we know the update is at most a few weeks away, which is a very exciting thing to say. If this was the last 1.21 preview, that would be a sign that they are releasing in the very early days of June, whereas if next week is the last preview, which would be my guess, then that would indicate somewhere closer to the middle of June, something we'll have to keep an eye on, obviously. But while we're talking about this week's preview, it's important to note that I said that inside of it, this might be the last one. Inside of it, there are 5 features, but for now, what is the 5th feature? Well, you might be surprised to learn that Minecraft is actually working on a new user interface for the Bedrock version of the game. This is what it will look like for the world screen. This has been around for a little while. It's really, really great, except it has a few performance issues when it comes to having a lot of worlds. Seriously, at 24 worlds, it's already starting to lag a tiny bit, and it's something they need to work on. But something else they need to work on is this server screen, they have decided, because inside of this server screen, there is now these big messages that servers can put out to tell you what's going on there, as well as the activities on the server itself. This is a really cool improvement, if you ask me, and soon they'll be working on the realms section as well. The new UI is a weird Bedrock beta-only feature. It will not be a part of 1.21, unlike the Petrified slab, which raised quite a few eyebrows this week, and a lot of people had questions, but just to make you feel better about those questions, people have been confused about the Petrified slab for as long as it exists. Here is a comment from a year ago where I mentioned it in a video, and someone mentioned, I don't get what the Petrified wood bit was talking about at all, not gonna lie, really confused, and so this is something I figured we should go through very briefly, because it was mentioned in my inconsistent Minecraft features video, but there is a Petrified wood slab, which is just a wood slab that functions like a stone slab, or maybe you could better say it is it's a stone slab that looks exactly like it's a wood slab. The reason that it was so relevant to this week's beta and preview, and the reason that it was so urgent to get it fixed that it might be the last bug fix, if not one of the last handful of bug fixes in Minecraft 1.21, is because if you had any Petrified oak slabs in your world, they would revert down to stone block slabs as part of the block flattening. This is a bad thing because if you have stone block slabs, you presumably want them not to be Petrified oak slabs, and so after this, now Minecraft 1.21 will correctly read these 2 blocks, and even better, there is now a new block, which means if you want to fill in a command Petrified oak slabs, it's now a lot easier, and so Petrified oak slabs just got a little bit more accessible using commands, but more importantly, their 1.21 worlds are now correctly backwards compatible with 1.20 worlds, a very important thing. Even though most people don't have this block, it's something great that Minecraft are considering it. I'm glad we got through that. Let's go into something a little bit more clear cut right now, and I think that is the mace. There are lots of angry people talking about how the mace is overpowered, but also at the same time, lots of people talking about how the mace is ridiculously broken, and from the outside, this means that Mojang have clearly gotten it wrong. I mean, Mojang is at the point now where everyone hates the mace either because it's too hard to get for how weak it is, or because it's so powerful that you can be one hit in your best armor. What is the best thing you can do here? And I think the only correct comment I want to actually read about this is from the Overseer 393. It's because of the difficulty in hitting the mark in its balancing. I think that when you're trying to make a really powerful item, an item so good that you'll go to a structure specifically to get it, that item needs to be, in some sense, overpowered. The reason the End City is still being visited today, even though it's 10 updates old, is because the Elytra is such a great form of transport that it's worth going there. It's 100% arguable as overpowered compared to any other transport method, but yet it still functions in Minecraft fine because you have to go somewhere hard to get it. The same is true for shulker boxes. It is crazy that you can, if you compare it to a chest bow or to a llama or a donkey, you can maybe get 1.5 times your inventory there, but if you use shulker boxes, you can get 27 times your inventory. It's crazy how hard that is, but a good good balanced Minecraft feature is overpowered but is niche enough that it doesn't overpower everything else around it. People should still want to craft swords and axes and everything else, but at the same time they should want to go for the mace. And it's crazy because Minecraft know precisely this, and they're really leaning into the marketing of the mace, because look at these images they made to promote it. Here is Steve in some cobblestone, here he is falling down a cave, clearly going at least 50-60 blocks, and here he is whacking the warden and he dies in one hit. This is the craziest thing about the mace, is even after any nerfs they've introduced, and there's been quite a few of them, that it is still a weapon capable of killing every mob in the game and every player in one hit. So I think anyone who says that it's not overpowered is a little crazy, and anyone who thinks that it is OP forgets how hard it is to get. I think, in other words, to go back to your comment, the Overseer 393, I think that Minecraft is doing their job right when enough people think the feature is overpowered and enough people think it's underpowered, because some people aren't going to get it until they see it in action, and some people are going to want to go and get it and do those weird things that make people realize just how wild it really is. I'm looking forward to using a mace to kill the dragon in one hit. It's something I'll definitely be doing after 1.21, but it will involve a lot of time in the trial chambers, and as Cesano Green 9000 says, or 9900 here says, I still haven't completely gotten used to the trial chambers being legit Minecraft soon. I still remember having my mind blown by mineshaft, and now I barely even remember them existing. They were necessary if you wanted certain seeds back in the day, and that is true. That is, the mineshaft was overpowered for farming at its own point in time, but it is interesting because I agree with the point about the trial chamber feeling still like it's the future of Minecraft, even though we're talking about at max like 2 to 3 months if there's some crazy delay, but we're realistically talking about weeks until everyone is playing around with trial chambers, and I still also feel that way a little bit about the ancient cities. I think the ancient cities got the balance a little bit worse with regards to its crazy overpowered weapon. It was a new enchantment for sneaking, but it doesn't really feel as good as a mace is going to, so a trial chambers is going to be one of the parts of a Minecraft progression. Are you struggling with the idea of killing the wither? Go to the trial chambers. If you can deal with a slightly smaller challenge, or at least a lot more individual challenges, then you can easily go through that one, and so that is the reason I think the mace is probably going to be the standout feature of 1.21. That's my bet right now, is that after the update comes out, all of this skepticism goes away and people go back to thinking it's OP. Speaking of OP, 1.21 is literally the copper golem, but it was an update. Give us the copper golem, then it's an update, says StickCat8515. I think that, yeah, this is the thing about Mojang saying, we put ideas back in the library. This is the perfect update for the copper golem and the tough golem, and so here is my idea. They've set the precedent that mob vote mobs can come in those sub-updates. What if 1.20, or even 1.20 includes the copper golem and the tough golem? You're welcome, Mojang. You can use my idea for free because it's actually your idea in disguise. On the subject of your idea in disguise, I have an idea that's actually my own idea in disguise, because a couple of weeks ago, someone left a super thanks under a video, and I said, you know what, if you're going to leave an amount of dollars attached to your message, sure, I'll respond to it for sure next Q&A Saturday, but then I forgot about it last week. It's just my entirely honest response, but I do have a bunch of messages that came with tips attached, and we're going to do a rapid fire through your super thanked messages. So, first one is from Exile Jaguar. Do you think that Mojang should change the model of the mace to be more 3D when it's in the player's hand? I think that they probably should. It feels a bit weird being 2D, but also at the same time, it actually matches the other weapons. So I'm torn because my instinct says it should be 3D, but if you showed me in 3D, I'd probably yell and say it should be 2D, just like how I'd probably yell if I was a T-Wolf too, but T-Wolf25TB says, hey, Toycat, taking you up on that tipping deal for Q&A Saturday, just one question, what is the biggest parity change or fix you want from Java to be ported into Bedrock? So first of all, I think the most important change would be the world create options, so being able to create amplified worlds or custom superflats or customized worlds in general. I think that would make the biggest impact on the fun that you could have, and that is the most important thing. But while we're on the subject of parity, I think it should be mentioned that Minecraft have said that they cannot ever truly bring parity because of the redstone, but David Solomano has a really interesting solution to this, which is what if we have Java redstone added to Bedrock as maroon stone and vice versa? New crafting recipes where you need to add some special parity juice to get the normal one to get the opposite behavior, in-game explanation, something mirror universe. Toycat is yes. I actually really like this idea. I mean, for it to be true parity, it couldn't be maroon stone on the opposite version. You'd have to pick, say, Bedrock redstone to be blue stone and Java redstone to be redstone, and then the first time everyone loads it up after the update, any Bedrock redstone gets immediately converted to blue stone, and Java players can now place it, and Bedrock players can now make Java redstone. But I think there are some bigger weird issues with it. So, for example, some of the things that make Bedrock redstone work so great are sort of bugs, and a lot of the things that make Java redstone work so great are bugs too, and some of these bugs are specific to the program languages. I'm not 100% sure, I'm not a coder, but as I understand it, it'd be actually quite hard, and you would have to double a lot of the work, and then people would still be confused because, like, wait, why is my redstone blue today? But I do think if you really wanted 100% parity, think that would be one of the things you do, but there's so many other things to work towards first. So bugs, stuff like on Java, there is a bug where you can build on the Nether roof. They call it a bug, but it's a fully used feature. Should they implement that bug on Bedrock, or should they ruin a lot of people's worlds on Java? There are many bigger questions that they need to get to first, just like Liam10112 asked the question, do you think we'll ever get a new gear tier? I think that if they were going to add a new gear tier, instead of making it, right now we go from Diamond up to Netherite, but it's kind of just like a slightly better Netherite Diamond, I would say that you'd have to make another thing like that, but instead of going from Netherite up to another layer, you go from Diamond up to an equivalent layer next to Netherite. So Netherite gives you knockback resistance. What if you had Enderite armor that gave you very slight, say, hunger reducing usage, or you'd have it be something weird like, yeah, you fall through the air slightly slower, it's almost like slow falling because of just how light it is, or maybe it's got feathers on it to slow you down. You could create sorts of different versions of Netherite armor, and I think that would be pretty fun. I do think it's unlikely they will do it, at least for a while. Speaking of not doing something for a while, iPikeLandCakes mentions that they love my content for consistently over 7 years, and I've never seen any of your worlds from before the Let's Play. Do you still have any of them, and would you be willing to share? So I actually did this in this video this week, but I figured just for fun, so I could answer the question in Q&A Saturday where it was intended to be, I figured we'd go ahead and actually show you one of my, because I used to make a lot of worlds on the 360, there was no way to play mini games unless you either had a modded, access to save files and did it that way, or I made my own mini games from scratch. And so this is Race to the Center, and I think it's a lot of fun. I made a lot of different mini games on this same world, but speaking of making mini games, DSTheRN says, is the seed listed in the Java screenshot? I really like that seed, and I need to know. Fun fact, all Bedrock seeds are Java seeds, and the only difference is the structures that aren't the Trail Ruins or the Trail Chambers. One of the fun things they are doing towards parity is slowly converting the structures over, it looks like. Speaking of structures, Chicky Brand says, I love you! Thank you, I love you too. Do you play other games than Minecraft? If so, what? Also, can you say hippopotamus? No, I could not. That's a terrible idea. But what I can say is I play quite a few other games in my downtime. I've gone into Balatro recently. It's been a bit of a problem. I've been playing some old school RuneScape, and I also got back into Fallout 4. I've been enjoying Wandering the Wasteland. I never really fully completed it the first time, so it's been an opportunity to dive back into that game, and that is what I'm up to. Speaking of what I'm up to, Transright. How far out in your world do you plan to destroy an entire trial chamber, and how long before Silent will have an entire AFK trial key farm? I'm thinking that logically, because I have quite a few partially destroyed trial chambers, it might actually make sense to destroy one of those, given that it's not going to do anything for me, or it might have to be that I go out to where my destroyed ancient city is and have lots of destroyed structures near each other. I haven't worked it out entirely. I'm looking forward to 1.21 where I can do that. Speaking of 1.21, will there ever be a day where you stop doing updates for Minecraft, where they stop doing updates for Minecraft, and when and why do you think this would be? Not bug fixes, but new features. I think that at some point, it's going to be a very long time down the way, they will stop updating the Java edition. We're talking like 5 years as a bare minimum, but realistically more like 10 to 15, and then at some point after that, because even though Minecraft is profitable enough that it could prop itself up forever, I'm sure there's some executive who can work out, well, Minecraft updates allow us to sell X number of new copies a year, but not producing Minecraft updates seems to still sell Y, and they could work out they'd rather have Y money with no effort and no human resources and no all of the things that go into it. And so I hope that Mojang as a studio has some protection from that concept, but that's how I imagine it would eventually go. But even then, I think we're a very long time away from Minecraft being unprofitable, especially on the Bedrock version of the game where there are all these subscriptions and microtransactions. I think that that is something that's wild. Speaking of wild, what is your favorite abandoned Minecraft feature? Mine is the quiver. Still hoping it makes it back into the game one day. My favorite abandoned feature would probably be something dumb. Like, I like the idea of rubies still, but also the red dragon would be a really great feature. I think that there's a really good reason they can't add dragons to the overworld. It's the geometry clashing or whatever, but I would love some extra bosses, and I think the red dragon would be a really fun example of that. Speaking of fun example, an idea I've had for a while to fix more complex parity features like redstone is a new tab on Java and Bedrock in the world creation/edit screen, where you can go for a list to toggle whether you want Java or Bedrock version of the feature. It would probably take development time, but would satisfy the entire community for once. I think that satisfying the entire community one time and then creating a huge technical debt for yourself is a bad decision, which is why they probably won't do it. By the way, the final couple of ones of these are from TrolledGoob0378. What is the best Minecraft feature in your opinion, and how long have I been subscribed? Oh, you asked 2 questions. The simple though, you've been subscribed for 8 years according to YouTube. That might be a record. In fact, right now, I want to set out the challenge. If you have your subscription set to public on YouTube, if you don't, I can't see how long you've been subscribed for, leave a comment, and if you think you are the longest term subscriber, I would love to hear from you. 8 years has to be a record, but that's only 2016, and I've been making Minecraft videos since since 2012, and I've been making videos since 2009, so I would be curious to see who has been subscribed for longer than that, because that is long enough to, you could have a whole child live and die in that time. And so, yeah, with that said, let's move a little bit less dark, and let's say I've been playing on my survival world for 4 years now, and I've tried converting it to Java, but there's something about Java and something about modding that really takes away from the game. It seems you focus more on modifying the game than playing it if you lose sight of what's important. I've noticed that you critique that part of Java a lot in that Bedrock doesn't necessarily necessitate mods for performance, etc. Essentially what I'm asking is, being aware of these parity differences, how do you stay committed to Bedrock? I think that there is so much fun inside of Minecraft that even if you gave me just the current update forever, I could still come up with fun ways to play it that I would enjoy more than having to modify things and seeing how those mods work and, oh, there's a mod incompatibility. I think that the Minecraft vanilla game is very, very strong, such so that, you modify things because you want that freshness, but that freshness always runs out, and as you do so, you're going to run into lower and lower quality stuff. There are some very high quality Minecraft mods out there, so I don't think that's a fair point. It's just one of the things that is a barrier. But the bigger point is that if you look at the number of people who are playing 1.8 beta Minecraft now, there is a proof that adding more stuff doesn't necessarily make better. If there were double as many features in a Minecraft update, it wouldn't be a better one by default, it would just be fresher and more exciting. And so I think that actually Minecraft has a lot of features, and there are so many things you can do with the existing ones that we haven't tried out, and so why would you need to add more stuff to that until you can say you've really experienced it all? Because the base Minecraft features usually are some of the very best and most polished. Speaking of best and most polished, final question is from Ultra Happy. As a viewer of the three main channels, how much viewer overlap is there between them? So it's interesting because the second channel started at first as just a weird experiment to see if I could have a successful YouTube channel in a different field. It was very fun by itself, but since then it's become this weird secondary passion space, which a lot of people who subscribe to that channel eventually found this one from it, and kind of vice versa. It's less so true, but it is a thing. Whereas the third channel is exclusively people who are subscribed to one of the two main channels. I mention it like, oh yeah, I'm eating McDonald's over there if you want to know. And indeed, if you want to know where I'm eating McDonald's this weekend, you can find out over at Andrew Andrews. I am working on a second channel video because right now I'm about to go, fun fact. I'm doing one of those silly trips where I'm going somewhere solely because it's just interesting geographically and on a weird political level for me. And so I will be vague about exactly where it is because it has a very low population, and I feel like I've got to keep my cards close to my chest on that one. But I'm about to travel. I love time at the airport. I love time traveling, and I'm looking forward to doing that. But I will be back by next week where I'll be streaming and where there'll be another Q&A. Thank you for watching. I hope you're enjoying this series, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for Seed Sunday. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.